It is a very scary thing to think that a being that was not from this earth, and God only knows from where, showed up in my bedroom or showed up in my living room and wanted to poke needles in me or do some horrendous thing. Terrifying. It's terrifying. And I would hope that no one would have those experiences. I have had those experiences. I would never want to repeat them again.
I'm going to tell you about a couple of experiences that I had with it, but like I said before, I could never do anything to stop this experience. No matter what I did, it just kept happening and happening, and it was just so frightening. I mean, I didn't even believe in God at the time. I didn't believe in, I thought it was something that like my body was doing.
It actually started happening about 20 years ago. My son was about 6 months old and my daughter a little over 2 years. And I went and laid down and fell asleep. It was probably midnight, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. And I wake up due to a feeling of an evil presence so strong that it just woke me up out of a dead sleep.
I found myself upstairs in my bedroom listening to this horribly loud noise, and it frightened me so much, and I went downstairs and I thought I was gonna open that front door and run like hell. But when I got downstairs, my dog was plastered up against the front door like she was paralyzed. She couldn't move, and this horribly loud sound was coming from the back of the house where the kitchen was.
I was in deep prayer because I could feel the darkness in the room. It was really, really scary, and so I was just praying and praying and praying and just talking to God, trying to ignore what it was. I just didn't know for sure what was going on. So all of a sudden, I felt like what it felt like a 400-pound person just completely pushing their arm down on my chest as hard as they could. Just boom, hit down, and all the air just left me. I felt an electrical impulse go through the back of my head right here, back here, right where my cranium meets my spine, right here in the back. And it shocked me, and I could see the lights in the room were flashing.
I couldn't move, and the first thing I did was pray to God. Give me the strength to move. At that point, I was able to roll out of bed and walk into my daughter's room. And in the dark, surrounding her bed were alien beings of different species. There were tall reptile things, there were smaller creatures, and the one closest to me right down here, I reached down and touched it, and they all looked at me instantly, and then they were gone.
And so I inched my way back there, and to my amazement, 3 or 4 beings tried to drag me and take me physically. This was happening on a nightly basis. They were in my room, they were in my house, and I said, no, you are not going to do this. I'm not going. Let go of me. And I was screaming. Of course, I was paralyzed, but you can still use your mind. They cannot paralyze your mind. And I prayed that I would not go.
I said, God help me. And as soon as I said that, I went back down to my body. I crawled out of the bed. The lights were still flashing. I got down. Well, as I turned my back, these 2 beings were behind me. They were talking. I want to call them beings, but they're humanoid-like. I couldn't see them. I was scared to look behind me to look at them. They say, "Come with us. We want you to come with us." And I said no. I was like, I can't. I'm not coming with you. I was like, you really don't have any, dominion over me. I want to stay here with my wife. I don't want.
And I said, God, help me. And as soon as I was that adamant, a most beautiful entity of light came crashing through my bedroom wall. And this entity of light was swirling around the room, just swirling. I could hear it swishing and swirling around the room. And the next thing I knew, all of the beings were thrown out the bedroom, out the side of the wall. And at that point, I was paralyzed with fear. And I lay there and just watched this entity of light come above my bed again. And all I could think was, thank you, seemed very inadequate, but all I could think of to say at the time. And in a big, booming voice, the entity said to me, "As you respect yourself, so shall we." And he was gone. And from that day on, I learned that I was not a victim.
That's the reason I believe that sleep paralysis is definitely demonic. And when I say demonic, I mean like literally demonic. I don't believe it's aliens. I believe aliens and demons have a similar interest. If they're not the same thing, they're definitely in league with each other. So that's what I believe is happening. So if you're experiencing this, I challenge you to use the name of Yeshua, Yahovah. Yahovah is the name of the Father. Yeshua is the name of the Son. Jesus, just call on the name of the Creator. Call on the name of the Son.
And of course, I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I just kept praying to God and thanking Him for saving us from whatever evil there was in this house.
This man, we'll use the name Bill, and during his experience, in fear, he calls out, "Jesus, Jesus, Jesus," or "Jesus, please help me." By calling out, he abruptly stops his abduction experience. In all the research we had done, we had never heard of a case of anybody stopping an experience. All the researchers, the top researchers, were saying that this could not be done. You couldn't stop an abduction experience. They had no record of it. So here I am with a case where a guy says he called out in the name of Jesus and stopped an experience. Was this one case unusual? But I knew I had something powerful in the UFO community. I contacted these top researchers in the country. I said, "Guys, I've got a case here. I don't know what to make of it." I shared them the case. Each time I did, they asked, "Can we go off the record?" I said, "Sure." I can't tell you their names, but I can tell you what they said. Each one of them said, "Yes, sir, we've come across cases like this ourselves, where they've been able to stop it using prayer or Jesus' name." I said, "Excuse me, how come we have never seen this documented? You're telling us otherwise, that it can't be done, it can't be stopped." First answer they usually gave us, "We didn't know what to make of it." I would have been fine with that. The second answer is what puzzled me and got me kind of angry. Because it was that one that I want you to hear for sure. They said we couldn't go there because it might affect our credibility in the realm. So I went after those cases because I now knew they were there. Over the next 10 years, I have now worked with over 400 cases of people that have been able to stop the abduction experience in the name and authority of Jesus Christ.